Well, good day, everyone. Hope you're all well. I'm looking forward to a lovely sunny day. I just want to do a video today. It's a bit of a different today, and obviously with recent, circumstances that's happened in my life, I think it's a very good question. As some people ask me, I don't think it's insensitive at all, and I really take it on board as a very important question. One thing people ask me is, if I got diagnosed with cancer today, what would I do? Because I lived, breathed, and slept it for 12 years with my wife. And I think it's a really, really good question. We know in today's world, the current cancer stats are horrific. 1 in 2 people are getting cancer. So unfortunately, you've got to be in a place at the moment where you're looking at preventative measures and you're looking at possibly something landed on your doorstep. What would you do? Well, first of all, let me just open up with, this video. There'll be a lot of people might watch it that are going through cancer. It's a complex disease. Nothing I say is meant to land insensitive. It's only coming from my personal experience of living it with my wife for 12 years and diving in deep to help her, get all the time that she had. So it's, the reality is there's no roadmap for this disease. There is not one roadmap that exists on the planet, okay? And the roadmap that does exist, the one that we should trust, is probably one of the worst out there, is unfortunately the reality. So what I would say, there is anything anyone says, it can be so many different variables. So including, myself, I'm only going off the back of what I learned and experienced, the good, the bad, and the ugly with mine and my wife's journey, Obviously my wife lost her life, but she had a hell of a journey and a lot of success in that journey, and a couple of wrong turns as well. So hopefully over the next 10 points I can get some of that across. So first of all, what I would do, and what we didn't do in the beginning, okay, when my wife was first diagnosed, we were just oblivious to all of it. I would get a plan. My first point would be I would have a plan. It's something that we didn't do until 6 years down the line. So we really were late waking up. I'd have a plan, and I'd want that plan. I want to know everything good, bad, and ugly about that plan. I want to know, I want to have so much knowledge about my plan, and I want to feel confident about the plan. I want to make sure I've contributed to that plan, whatever that plan consists of, okay? But I want a plan. That's what I'd want, is to make sure I'm looking at something and say, okay, I can see this is the path I want to take. I feel confident with it. And I want a plan that I really feel confident with. Not that someone who's wearing a white coat, who's going to get paid whether you live or die, has created for you. Because unfortunately, there's no accountability there, unfortunately. That person might have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people to deal with on any bloody given month or year or whatever. So you have got to have a plan that you are contributing to as well, and you're confident with, and you're comfortable with, and you really believe you can heal. And hopefully that plan consists of lots of variables, which we'll talk about through the next points. So number one, I'd have a plan, okay? We didn't, and when I woke up, was 5 or 6 years in, my wife was told that she had acute myeloid leukemia. And the reason she had that is because of all the chemotherapy she'd had during her first breast cancer journey. Now, we weren't told that could be a possible side effect. I'm sure it was in the 1,000-page document that we signed on day one, but we weren't told that. Would my wife have had chemotherapy at the start if we had known that? 1,000,000% no, from her own voice, from her own feelings. And unfortunately, we only woke up when we had made the first error, okay? So number one, you've got to have a plan and get that plan right internally as well as externally. Number two, I wouldn't do one single thing that's going to jeopardize my immune system. The only real line of defense we have against illness and disease is a strong immune system. That's the reality of it, okay? The weaker your immune system, the more problems you're going to get, and the more damage any illness and disease is going to do to you. So I wouldn't do a single thing in my treatment that was going to severely damage my immune system unless I understood really why I was doing it, and unless I was confident that my immune system could actually bounce back from that problem. Because if you wreck your immune system, you may not die today or tomorrow, but I can guarantee that's going to be the reason that's going to wipe you out, okay? So that would be number two. Nothing that's going to damage my immune system. Number three, knowledge is power. You've got to do the work, guys. If you've been diagnosed, you've got to dive in. If you're struggling at the time to read and take things in, you've got to get other people in with your family, friends. You've got to do the work. With any problem you have in life, whether it's medical, business, personal, knowledge is always power. It's always a power over the enemy, and obviously the enemy being cancer, but the enemy being other things outside cancer. When you're on a long-term journey, I won't say it, but you'll have a lot of enemies. They won't just be the cancer. So you'll have to work that out yourself, and I'd work that out as early as you can, okay? there's protocols in place that are just not, I don't think, in the benefit of someone battling cancer. Just my personal opinion that I've experienced in 12 years. But you've got to work that stuff out. Knowledge is power, okay? 3 books I would start with. Now these books are not going to cure anyone of cancer. What they will do, I didn't read these until maybe year 6, 7, 8 or whatever it would have been. What they will do is they will spark something inside you that will get you asking questions, okay? That will get you thinking about the journey on a bigger scale. That will really dive into your deep inner feeling of this journey. So number 1, Chris Beats Cancer. Really inspirational guy. When me and Phyllis started going down alternatives and started getting huge success with them, she started looking at $1 million when I was implementing lots of his strategies. His basic message: boost your immune system, reduce your toxicity, have faith, and that's a good marker to start your journey. Huge into things like juicing and all the rest of it, but he's got a very, very inspirational personal story as well. I would also get the holistic healing guide to cannabis. You've got to understand Rick Simpson oil and cannabis. You've got to understand that quick. My personal view, the best 3 or 4 years I saw my wife was when she was doing a gram a day of Rick Simpson oil. She's never looked that good in her entire life since I've known her as when she was doing that. She looked $1 million. Her endocannabinoid system was firing on all cylinders, She looked fantastic. And the third one would be How to Starve Cancer with Jay McClelland. These would all come from completely different angles on a cancer journey, which is good because they will open 3 different angles for you. They'll pretty much cover. She talks a lot about lifestyle, nutrition, off-label drugs, targeted drugs, so supplementation. So she talks a lot. They tick very different boxes, and you might have to combine bits of all of them, and that's what a cancer journey will be. We'll be combining lots of things together. It won't be just a case of one size fits all. But if you stick with the basics, there are some basic principles, I would say, and that will move you forward, okay? So number 5 would be to make sure you incorporate everything that doesn't have a side effect. What do I mean by that? Well, hot and cold therapy, jumping in an ocean and sitting in a sauna, no side effects, 0 side effects, okay? A day of fasting, different types of fasting, 0 side effects. Juicing, 0 side effect. Look for things, spending time in nature, grounding, hugging trees, all this stuff, breathing in forest air for an hour a day, meditation, mindfulness, laughter. This is all stuff that has 0 side effects. Fill your schedule with as many things. If there's been evidence and you follow people who are thriving doing this stuff, and there's been studies on it, bloody do it if it comes with a 0 side effect. You've got everything to gain, nothing to lose, okay? Rick Simpson oil, your little side effect of Rick Simpson oil, you'll get a bit hungry and you get a bit happy and you'll sleep like a baby. What's a couple of side effects you can get with cancer? You're lacking sleep, you're in pain, and you're not eating right. And Rick Simpson oil covers all them bases, okay? So you're looking for things that have 0 side effects and really ram your schedule in with that, okay? So, that would be, for me, you should be doing things on a daily basis, that's for sure. I would then number 6, I would turn every stone over, inside and outside the hospital walls. Leave nothing unturned, okay? If someone knows of someone who's on a good journey and they've been doing well for 7, 8, 9 years, reach out to them, turn the stones over. If someone says there's a certain type of honey that if you have a teaspoon a day, apparently it can help to reduce, look into it. Just turn the stones over. Do not brush anything away and challenge bloody everything. Turn the stones over and challenge everything. That would be point number 6, okay? And I really, really mean that. Don't be afraid to challenge everything, inside and outside the hospital walls. Remember, human error is a day-to-day thing. Also, there'll be people on your journey who can only follow a certain protocol. They can't champion anything else, and that's on them. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to say, it might not be in their cabinet, but it might be in someone else's cabinet. You don't have to accept it, okay? Turn every stone over and challenge everything, okay? Number 7, do not rush any medical decisions. When you've been diagnosed, or if you've had a relapse or something, panic is obviously, and I saw it with my wife time and time again, she had about 4, 5, 6 different cancers or relapses, and you think you're off course then, and we made that mistake a few times thinking we were maybe off course when perhaps we weren't off course. Perhaps the progression was extremely slow. We had slowed it down. Maybe we just had to push a bit harder with other things. But you go into panic mode. And if you've just been diagnosed, my guess is you found a few problems and you've been told the news, you ain't going to die tomorrow. Do not rush these medical decisions without knowing the full consequences of these decisions, okay? And because most of them do irreversible damage. And we were chasing our tail for 12 years off the back of the decision we made on day one. We really were. We were up against it for 12 years, And the one big regret my wife ever had was rushing chemotherapy at the front of the 12 years. It haunted her, and we talked about it, weekly probably, So I would say, guys, really don't rush, your medical decisions, okay? Follow people who are on the success story, who are on a holistic healing success story. Follow these positive-minded people who are on that journey and on that cancer journey, okay? The cancer community is a wonderful, wonderful community. So helpful that, we're all in the mess together, all the patients in it together, all the partners, all the family. It's a lovely community that would do anyone. And usually, you can learn from the mistakes they've made, and that's what you want to do. You want to really, you want to follow these people and listen to their messages, okay? So really surround yourself with like-minded people on the same journey. If you've got a negative nanny in your, I'm not too sure about cannabis, I've heard some bad things, get them out of your circle. Because I'm telling you now, these are coming from an uneducated place that they've once walked past the person on the seafront and they could smell cannabis and the person didn't look like they were in a good place. Get away from them. They will damage your journey, and it's not from a place of harm. They're coming from a place of love. They just don't understand, okay? But you've got to distance yourself until they do understand, okay? And at number 9, I would go and find 10 people or 10 couples, say like Phyllis and myself, and I would ask them 2 simple questions. 10 people who've lived, breathed, and slept it, okay? What's the top 3 tips they would give on their journey, and what's the top 3 mistakes they made? 2 most important. You'd have 6 sentences there, which would be so invaluable. And if you could get 10 people, or whether you find them on social media or whether you know people, like for argument's sake, me and my wife would have, we again used to get these sorts of messages daily, and you try to help the person on the back of your own experience. That's all you can do. You can only call your own experience into it, But 10 people, ask them then 2 questions. Top 3 tips, top 3 mistakes. And then the last one you have to really focus on is 3 aspects to it here, guys. Your physical, mental, and emotional health. You are going to double down on them 3, okay? And if physical, do not stop. Like me and my wife, I picked my wife up from treatment. We would go walking for 4 or 5 hours at a snail's pace. She was continuously fighting physically to stay fit. Mental and emotion. Now, there could be different roles in that. Like I would have been doing a lot of physical and mental, but perhaps our family, Phyllis's family, would have been doing a lot of the emotional support. And with friends, and there would have been a lot of mixed things coming into play, but you need that team around you as well to get the physical, mental, and emotional support that you need, and also the emotional goals and plans, and get sit with a trainer. Don't be afraid to go and see a trainer to get a little health plan for yourself. You might not be able to do what you could do, but you could be able to do something. And like I said, I used to see Phyllis sometimes coming into the gym and just checking herself around, trying to do what she could do at that time. She was a true warrior. But you've got to have a physical, mental, and emotional approach to this journey, and you've got to hit all 3 equally, as good as you can and as aggressively as you can. Stay sharp between there and stay sharp physically and mentally. But so yeah, hopefully them 10 points will land, guys. I'll write them in the thread. As I said, they're not meant to come across wrong. It's not meant to stop someone changing a course of their treatment. It's meant to maybe activate something inside you, and perhaps something I said can resonate, and perhaps something can help you if you've just been newly diagnosed. Even if you are going through a journey, maybe you stop and you replan and go through some stuff again, which we used to do often. So hopefully with the help, I sincerely hope it do. And if you are battling cancer, I sincerely wish you all the best on your journey. And obviously my prayers are with you. Thanks, guys, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.